Joseph Cooper wakes up from a nightmare. He was reliving an accident he had as a NASA pilot. The only crops people can grow are corn, and there's dust everywhere. Cooper has breakfast with his daughter Murphy, son Tom, and father-in-law Donald. Murph believes a ghost is in her room and keeps knocking things off her bookshelf. Cooper suggests she records the books knocked off using a scientific method. Cooper meets with Murph's teacher. When Cooper was young, the world went through a food shortage. The teacher has a problem with Murph bringing Cooper's old textbook to school. The new textbooks deny that space programs and travel are real because they don't want the children to think about space. The teacher insists that Cooper adjust Murph's behavior at home. Cooper says he'll reward Murph, not punish her. He gets Murph suspended from school. Murph shows Cooper she's counting the books that are falling off. She thinks it's Morse code. Cooper says her bookshelf isn't talking to her. The family goes to a baseball game. Cooper doesn't like farming, but Tom does, so he encourages him to become a farmer if that's what he wants. There's a dust storm in the middle of the game, and they get home as quickly as possible. Murph didn't shut her window, so dust blew in. It falls in odd lines that look like the same markings Murph has been recording. Cooper studies the lines and realizes it's gravity, not a ghost, and that it's information for coordinates. He plans to see what the coordinates lead to. Murph sneaks into his truck. They find a compound with a fence around it. Dr. Amelia Brand leads Cooper and Murph to a room full of people, including Cooper's old mentor, Professor John Brand. Murph and Cooper explain that a gravitational anomaly gave them the coordinates. John reveals that they're at NASA's secret headquarters. They found a wormhole placed near Saturn that leads to other galaxies. Plan A is to inhabit a world in the other galaxy. Plan B is a population bomb with 900 fertilized human embryos that will allow humanity to continue even if the people on Earth die. John asks Cooper to trust him. They go back home. Murph is angry and won't talk to Cooper. Donald says the world was never enough for Cooper and warns him. Cooper goes into Murph's room and says he needs to fix things before he leaves. Murph says she'll keep it broken, so he has to stay. Murph tells him that a new code from the books on her shelf translates to stay. Cooper gives her a watch to match his. Time will run slower for him, so they can compare their watches when he returns. He suggests they might even be the same age when he returns. Murph throws the watch and refuses to talk. Cooper begs her not to let him leave like this. He says he loves her and promises to come back. As he's about to leave, a book falls from the shelf. Cooper hugs Tom and says goodbye to Donald. He drives off. Murph runs out of the house calling for him, but it's too late. Cooper launches the spaceship. Brand, Doyle, and Romilly are traveling with him. They reach a giant space station called Endurance. They dock and start their journey. TARS, their assistant robot, finds a robot named Case aboard the station. John speaks to them on a video call. Cooper asks John to look after his family. John promises to do so. Reaching Saturn will take 2 years, so they'll enter cryosleep for the journey. Cooper makes a video for his kids. John delivers the message to Donald. The two of them agree Murph should work with John. The Endurance reaches Saturn. They fly through the wormhole. A distortion reaches out to Brand. She touches it, and it's as though they're holding hands. they arrive in the new galaxy. A probe with a scientist landed on each of the 3 planets. Miller and Mann's planets orbit a black hole named Gargantua, and Edmund's planet is further away than those 2. Aboard the Endurance, they discuss which world to visit first. Miller's world has the best combination of resources. The problem is that every hour on the planet will equal 7 years on Earth. Romilly and Tars will stay on the Endurance and study gravity for John during the years it will take the rest of them to visit the planet. Case goes with them as they head down to Miller's planet. The planet is covered in water, but they find a shallow section where they can land and walk. Miller's ship was destroyed, and there's no sign of her. Brand heads towards some mountains to find the ship's data recorder. They realize it's not mountains, but a giant wave moving away from them. Another wave is coming towards them. Brand sees this and rushes to the recorder, but gets stuck. Doyle sends Case to rescue her. They return to their ship, but Doyle can't climb aboard in time and is washed away by the wave. They escape from the planet and get back to Romilly. It's been 23 years for him since they left the ship. Romilly hasn't been able to send any data to Earth, but they've received years of video messages. Cooper watches the video messages sent to him from Tom that span years. The last video is from Murph. She tells Cooper that she's now the same age as he was when he left. Murph turns off the video recording and cries. John reassures Murph that they're trying to figure out the physics of creating a world that will save them. Brand watches the videos her father sent. Tars helped maintain Endurance, but they don't have enough fuel to visit both planets and must choose. They decide to trust Mann because he was the first to travel into the wormhole and his data is reliable. Murph visits Tom and his family. He has a wife, Lois, and a son, Cooper. Murph eats with them, but doesn't stay for the night. John is dying. He apologizes for giving Murph hope. John reveals that he lied and that Cooper and the others have no reason to return to Earth. John believed there was no way to help the people on Earth except to continue humankind elsewhere. Murph sends a video to Brand about the death of her father. The Endurance arrives at Mann's planet and lands on one of the mountains. They find Mann in cryosleep on his ship. He cries with relief at seeing other people. Brand asks about the planet. Mann says there's breathable air on the surface. He decommissioned his machine, Kip, when it started to malfunction. Tars receives and plays Murph's message. After sharing that Brand's father died, Murph asks if Brand and Cooper knew they were leaving everyone on Earth to die. Brand didn't know, but Mann did. The plan was never to return to Earth, and John didn't tell anyone else because he knew people wouldn't work on something that couldn't save them. Murph talks to Getty, a colleague. She says John had solved his equation, but it was half an answer, and only data from a black hole can solve the other half. Cooper decides to use the time left to go home, and the rest can start the colony. Murph recalls the ghost from her childhood. She didn't call it a ghost because it scared her, but because it felt like someone was trying to tell her something. She believes the answer is somewhere in her childhood room. Cooper wants to set up the lab and habitat sites before nightfall. Mann suggests they wait out the conditions, but eventually agrees. Cooper and Mann leave to visit the main habitat site. Brand is preparing for her lab. Romilly and Tars get to work on Kip. Mann tells Cooper he thought he was prepared to die when he left, but nothing worked out how it was supposed to. He gets rid of Cooper's communicator and throws him off a cliff. Cooper holds onto a ledge and fights back. They both fall. Cooper realizes Man faked his data. He pretended everything was fine so someone could rescue him. Cooper tries to reason with Man, who breaks Cooper's helmet. Man leaves Cooper to die and promises to save everyone in his name. Cooper sees his communicator and calls Brand for help. Tars tells Romilly there's a security lockout on Kip, and only a human can access the data. Brand finds Cooper and gives him emergency oxygen. Romilly sees Kip's data and says it makes no sense. Cooper tells Brand that Man was lying. Brand and Cooper tried to contact Romilly, but it's too late and Kip explodes. Man sees the explosion and turns his communicator back on. He hears Cooper talking. Man reaches one of the 2 ships they brought down from the Endurance. Man escapes with their ship. Tars survived the explosion and was picked up. They need to reach their main ship before Man does. Cooper tries to get Man to respond. He doesn't know the docking procedure, and Tars disable the automatic docking. Murph finds the watch her father gave her. Man reaches the Endurance. Brand tries to tell him not to open the hatch because he's not correctly docked and it will explode. Man says he's not doing it for them, but for all humanity. He opens the hatch and dies as a portion of the Endurance explodes. Cooper docks with the Endurance as it spins, but they are now being pulled into Gargantua. They board the Endurance. The system for human embryos is safe. The navigational system is destroyed. Cooper plans to use Gargantua's pull to slingshot towards Edmund's planet. They won't be able to get home. Tars will have to detach one of the ships to ease the weight. They manage to move away from Gargantua. It costs them 51 years. Tars detaches. Cooper detaches another ship so he can save Brand. He's sucked into Gargantua. Brand cries. Cooper ejects from the ship and reaches the heart of the black hole. It's shaped like a series of cubes, with each side looking like a bookcase. Cooper punches the bookcase, and a book falls, revealing that he's looking into Murph's room. She's a child, and it's the first time she's meeting her ghost. Cooper realizes he's the one who sent messages to Murph from the bookcase. Cooper flies to various times in the bookcase. Cooper knocks the books off the shelf in Morse code that spells stay. Cooper watches himself talk to Murph for the last time. He hits the bookcase, and a book falls as he watches himself leave Murph's room. Murph realizes it was her father communicating with her through her bookshelf. Cooper believes that time is represented as a physical dimension here and wants to share data from the black hole with Murph. Cooper believes the beings who placed the wormhole near Saturn and are showing him Murph's bookshelf are humans from the future. He sees the dust in Murph's room and sends the coordinates to NASA. He asks Tars to translate the data from Gargantua into Morse code. Murph grabs her watch as she leaves. Cooper finds the time when Murph puts his watch on the bookshelf. He codes the data into the watch. Murph sees it and realizes her father sent a message. She writes down the data and figures out the other half of John's equation. Cooper and Tars think it works because the physical bookshelf is closing. Cooper gets sucked into Gargantua and sees the Endurance as it travels through the wormhole. He reaches out to Brand and holds her hand. Cooper ends up floating near Saturn. He wakes up in a hospital and is told he is 124 years old. He's on Cooper's station, currently orbiting Saturn. Murph is still alive and will arrive at the station shortly. Murph cries when she sees Cooper. He tells her he was her ghost. Murph says she knows. He kisses her hand. Murph knew he'd come back. Cooper asks how she knew, and she says because her father promised. He says he's here for her. Murph says no parent should watch their child die. She tells him to go to Brand, who's alone on a planet in a strange galaxy as she starts a new colony. Tars and Cooper steal a ship and fly off to find Brand.